Welcome back everyone. Today we will look at StyleX, which is a new CSS library which Meta has recently open sourced. Now they have been using this library to develop their styles for Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram. And they have now just recently decided to open source it. And I think it's a good time to just have a deeper look at what it can do. Now, their philosophy is the main idea is that the application should scale along with the UI components, especially in React. So your components are scaling with large projects, but it's really hard to maintain that same scalability with your CSS as well. But at the same time, it's important that the styles are really fast in rendering. What I've done is I have actually created an empty, very bare bone React project, which I have used Webpack and Babel to create that project. So I'll quickly switch to that now. So let me quickly show you the project, and then we will move into the next step of setting up the library. So just from the package JSON, we have Babel as well as Webpack. To create this project, I've just created a very bare bone project. I've added some default Webpack and Babel configurations for it to work. So now this is a React TypeScript project. Now if we just start our project, you'll see that it opens and it shows our home page. Now we are good to start integrating our library and testing out how it works. Right. So we will just stop this project and we'll go to the installation page, and from here you see we have this command. We'll quickly install the StyleX library. Then we need to install the Babel plugin. And we need to do our configuration for Babel. Now I've tried with this configuration. I was having some issues. I was getting some errors, so I was able to dig in and I was able to get settings which actually work. So I'll just copy these and I will apply these settings as well. And in the plugins, you just need to put in the StyleX plugin settings. Right, and in the Webpack settings, if we go here, you will see if you go to Webpack, actually we need to install the Webpack plugin as well. Now we just need to include StyleX plugin. We need to set up the config here, so I'm just quickly trying to set it up. So let's just right. So we have this variable, and now we will module export this one. And here we just need to put the plugin code in. We'll come here. Here is the plugin. That's the first one. just put next to this. Right. We just need to also install ESLint plugin as well. So we'll install that. And we need to create this file as well. And we need to put the code for ESLint as well. Hopefully our setup steps are complete. Now we need to define styles. Let's go to defining styles. And I'm just quickly looking at how we can create some styles and use them. Right. Let's copy this, and just as a quick test, we will put this in our home component and see if we can get it to test. Let's copy these styles as well. Although we just need to do, we don't need highlighted. And so these are all about defining styles. Let's see how we can use them. So we just need to put this here. And also let's try to put it here as well. So we just start. You see the styles have applied. Just to test out, let's put a font size. So you see the styles are working. So the library is now integrated properly. Now we can start to get into more exciting stuff, create some real components for our design system, and then from there we will go on. So we will start with creating our button component. Let's just go to our components folder, and we will create a common folder here. In the common folder, let's create button folder to put the files related to our button component, and I'll just create an empty component. So I'll just create a very simple button component here. So I'll just quickly create some imports as well. I'll just do ref react, and then I think I just need to include StyleX, so that's also so that is also included. Now we will define the type. First of all, what about the button props? So sorry. So we are getting an intrinsic elements of properties of button, so that all these we can add like on click on button type attributes to this type. And if you really want to make it accessible as well, so you can include aria attributes as well, and then you can also include them as well. Now we will create button props that will extend our button element props that we have created above. So in this interface, although we can create a very simple component, but just to test out, we will add the kind as well. Now the kind could be, let's say, primary or inverted or disabled. So we have three different types or kinds of buttons that we can add. And ref we are just adding so that we can use this button intrinsically, and we can pass different refs if we can. So this would be HTML button component. I think the definition is fine. Now let's try to define our button component. I'll use forward ref here, and I will just do HTML button element here and button props. And here we have kind as the prop, and then rest of the props will go as it is. And we have ref as well, so we will just define these. And here let's define our button with ref, and props as well. So that's our button defined. Actually, we'll just do this. And finally, let's define some styles as well. So that's, now we will use StyleX here. So button styles, StyleX. So that's the syntax we use create to create styles. So this is the function that they provide. And you always have to return object from this function. So they always take object. Right. So we will create some default styles here. Now I'll quickly apply this just to make it really simple. So now I've applied some default styles, but for primary style, I just want to maybe change the background. Default should be, let's say, orange. And actually you can create states like this. So if you want to use the states like hover, active, focus, you can create and override styles like this. So I want the background to be orange, but if it's hovered, it's black. So that's how you create different kinds of buttons. So that's the primary button. And actually I need to also define the color as well. So the color would become, again, default could be white, and hover could be orange, just to make it readable. So we've defined the primary, and I'll just quickly apply the other two styles as well. Right, so we have defined our button component, and we just need to use our button styles. Now we've seen how we use them, so we will just put them here as well. So all we need to do is we need to call our props. So it will become dot 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 StyleX dot props, and we will pass here styles dot, no, it was button styles dot default and button styles of kind. So that's how you provide it with different kinds of buttons. So the kind that we pass from the back, it will go to this, and then from here it will just apply this based on the kind that we have provided. By the way, it's invert. Right. Let's go to our home component. We'll quickly import our style button component that we have just created. And let's define it here. Button. So the type, let's say button. Kind, let's say primary. And you can just call it submit. Let's come to our page, and here you can see that our button is the primary button is added. So the default was orange and white, and if I hover it gives black and orange. So that's the setting that we've applied. Right, so let's quickly create other two buttons as well to see if they work fine. Yeah, so our inverted button is also working, and the disable button styles are also applied. So now we have created this basic component just using the two functions that they've provided. One is the props dot using styles dot props to use it, but then when we have to create it, we use StyleX dot create. Now you'll notice here that we are just using this one tsx file to define the styles as well as defining our button component as well. It's along the lines of CSS in JSX, that pattern, but it's a lot more, as you can see, it's a lot more cleaner, a lot more scalable, if you can consider it in a way that you can see we can create different kinds of styles, and then we can embed them into the components, so the components really become reusable along with the styles. Let's create another component quickly. So this time we will create a card component here. So we will create a new folder here for card, and in that let's create a new file called card.tsx. So we'll just quickly create the card component from our button component. So we'll just call it card element props. This would become just a div. Then if we see here, this would be card element props. This would become card props. Instead of kind, let's just put size here for the size of the card. So small, medium, and large. And the ref we need to update, so it's going to be HTML div element, again here as well, and the card props here. So this would become a div, and this would become size. And for this, let's call it card styles. So we will keep the default, but this should be, let's say, small, medium, and large. And this would be card styles. This would become size. Right, very quickly we have defined the component. Let's just quickly update the styles to make it a card rather than button styles. So let's just put some default styles. So the default width is 200 for small, Let's change the width to 100 pixels. So the medium would become, let's say 200, and the large would become, let's say 400. Right, so I've just created a card component with some border radius, some background color, and some width. And the idea is that this um, card component can then actually this card component can render other components. So I'll just quickly go to our home component. So we will include our card component here, and let's just create a card component. Size would be medium, and yeah, I think that's all we need to define. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we have a card. Let's see. See, we have a large card, so our card component is also working fine. Now, one other thing that we can quickly test is conditional styling. Now, we have added or used different styles, but we just want to test out conditional styling as well, so we can apply the styles based on certain conditions. Let's just quickly come to the button, and here what I want to do is, let's say I want to pass an inactive or active flag. So based on if a button is active, we can apply a different color than its default or primary. So let's quickly try to define that. Let's quickly add that flag to our interface. This would become a boolean, so whether it's is active or not. And based on that, what we can do is we can say is active, and then we can apply, or let's just quickly first define those styles. Active would be, let's say background should be green, color white. Button styles dot active, otherwise button styles dot inactive. I didn't create it, but I just quickly can create inactive as well, or actually inactive could be disabled. So let's do that. We need to add it as a prop as well. So is active is there. Now is active is required. So we will come here and let's just quickly define a state variable, and we will just set it to false. By the way, it's a good idea to just make it optional. And let's just pass in is active as false. for the first button. And actually we need to come here, because we have we have made it as optional, and we have put it if is active is true, then it uses is active, otherwise disabled. That's why all the buttons have become disabled. So if I just pass it as true, now we will see that the first button only becomes active, and the active color and background to the button has also been applied. So that's how you can apply conditional styles to the components. Now another quick feature that they have provided that we can quickly try is we can use these styles as props as well. So we can pass these styles along into the custom components as well. So to do that, we will just come to our button component, and we just need to import the type of the we will need to import the type of the style. Let's just quickly have a look at the props. Yeah, so here we will define StyleX styles. So that's what we need, and here we just need to provide style, and the type of it would be StyleX styles. So that's how we can make the button accept these style changes, and now we will use it here as well. We can pass that style into our list of different styles that we have, and then we can use this here as well. So now we have defined the style, we have also included it with our button as well. Let's go to our home component. Oh, now we need to define styles here as well, just to test out if it works. And we just need to include it as well. So in our home component, we will include StyleX style, and we will just define here as and we can pass these styles to our button component, and this would become button styles. And just ignore the TypeScript errors. Right, so we are passing button styles to our first component. Let's just come back to our button component, to our inactive. Let's just quickly comment this out. And now this is our primary button. So let's see the style. So the style default we need to pass on. Yeah, now we see that our button component is first of all conditionally styled. We are passing it as a prop as well, and then lastly I'll just show you that we can actually pass certain specific we can restrict the styles that we want to pass here as well. So using the templating structure, we can actually tell it that it should only accept background. So it should only accept background. That would be string, and let's say it should only accept color. That would be string. So if we apply these, then it will only accept these styles and it will not accept any other styles. So if you just want to pass some other styles here, it will not accept. So that's how now you can imagine in a big organization, you would want to restrict people to not change any standard styles or themes that they have created, and they can only change certain specific aspects of the style and not interfere with any of their design guidelines or anything related to that. So that's the main idea to restricting those styles. Right, one last thing that I quickly want to show you is the dynamic styles. So I think we can quickly look at those, and then I think it would be a good idea to just test out the dynamic styles. By dynamic styles, what I mean is, since these are generated at compile time, so the StyleX have also provided a way to make the styles dynamic in a way that they are based on either user interactions or some feedback, some event based, where it's runtime and not compile time. So on runtime only, you know what styles you want to apply to a component. So we will try to quickly apply those dynamic styles now. I think it would be a good idea to have a quick look in their documentation and then see how they create those. I think in our home component, we have these h1 and div. I think it should be a good idea to just try out with these. So let's define these. I think they are already added. We have the button styles, but then we can quickly create another instance of style here. Now you'll notice here that we can create functions, and the function takes parameters, and based on those parameters, it generates the style. So it takes the height, and then height is applied as a style. So that's the whole idea. So you see there, we can define the height. Now since it's a state variable, so you can imagine it can be any value based on runtime. And then we will just apply the style to our div here. Right, so you see here now the styles have been applied. If we can quickly test, let me just set it to 100. So you see the height has been increased on this div element. So again, the dynamic styles have also been working fine. Right, so I think in my opinion, I'm really glad that Meta has open sourced this library, because it provides a really good platform for making more large scale projects that are really scalable, yet at the same time the code base is really clean, organized, and it provides strong grounds to create stunning UI components that are really scalable, usable, fast, yet at the same time providing us with all the flexibility that is required as a developers. And I think in terms of understanding and in terms of complexity and learning curve, it's really simple, and it's really good for even the beginner developers to grasp the idea and start learning. Right, I hope you liked my video, and please share, subscribe, and don't forget to watch the second part where we will make some more complicated and complex components by creating a full-fledged theming system using the StyleX library. See you in the next video.